All right, welcome to this week's Points and Miles report on traveling on everyday spend. I am on location in the great state of Arizona. Unfortunately, there are no good rooms in this house to do this live stream, so please bear with me and we'll just jump right on into the news and see where we go from here. When it comes to the credit card intro bonus offers, we really don't have many new ones, which is really not surprising because we're going into the holidays. But I'll highlight a couple of things that you should always keep in mind for this. The Hilton credit cards with American Express. We have all the way until January 8th for that. Plenty of time to prepare to see about 524 slots or your slots with American Express and to make sure if Hilton is something that is of interest. But that would be an option. The Alaska Airlines credit card with the 60,000 bonus points, but more importantly, that companion pass being included in the welcome bonus is definitely something that you're going to want to keep in mind if you have any interest in Alaska Airlines. And then for Barclays, we still have those Wyndham credit cards that are still at their elevated bonus. We don't have an end date for that, but you know how much I really like Wyndham's points and how versatile they can be. Definitely take a look at that if there are interest. And then as far as Chase, the three things I would note are the $250 bonus on the Freedom Unlimited for just $500 worth of spend in the first 3 months. The Southwest credit cards, where all of them, regardless of the annual fee, have that $400 statement credit, as well as the 40,000 miles for just $3,000 worth of spend in the first 3 months. And then for United, we've got that for all of the credit cards. We have an elevated bonus, so it's definitely something to be looking at if interested for that. And then lastly, the Amazon credit cards for the Prime as well as the Visa having that gift card for Amazon as soon as you get approval. So that's definitely ones that you want to take a look at that for that. And I want to say appreciate Call Me Lonnie stopping in. Always an excellent credit card creator, content creator. Has a new one on United, which he is definitely an expert on. And I would definitely encourage you to be able to take a look at his latest video. When it comes to transfer bonuses, we don't have a whole lot, but there's a couple that do have a little bit of punch to it. American Express with Virgin Atlantic through December 31st at 40%. Not the greatest number that you've ever had, but it is a strong number. And as I've always said about these transfer bonuses, they represent sweeteners to anything that you were already planning on doing. And then I would also add in the Air Canada 20% that is into January. But if you have the Aeroplan credit card, you're getting an extra 10% on that discount when you're doing award points. So definitely consider that if you are looking at Air Canada. Now, as far as the points and miles opportunities, we got to start with All, which is Accor Live Limitless, which has still has a number of promotions that are going on. I'll have all links in the description, especially for these registrations required, as well as some of those lists of the applicable hotels that are going to be there. But if you're looking at anything for that, all the way from looking at for their certain hotels in North and Central America, all the way to just straight discounts when using their application, may be something to look at. And then I'll really highlight some of these new ones. And one interesting one is another one with the Core Live Limitless in Qatar. So you can earn 2x Avios on your Accor stays, and you can also earn 2x all points, which is Accor Live Limitless points on Qatar flights. Now, you do have to link your two programs together and register. So, and you have to do all of that to link, register, book, and complete your travel by January 31st. But if that falls into a time frame that fits for you, it could be an excellent deal because you're not getting the Avios instead of the Accor Live Limitless points when you stay at Accor, and you're not just getting the 2x all points on your Qatar flights. It's in addition to the points and miles that you're earning. So a really nice double hit on that could be a strong help for you. Alaska Airlines has their quarterly Getaway program, which has 50% off on economy and premium economy items in specific locations in Europe, Canada, as well as Central Asia. Now, the ability to book, you can always still have that free stopover for up to 14 nights on any of the one-way routes on eligible international itineraries. You have all the way till December 31st to be able to book, and the travel can happen in that first quarter, essentially of January 1st through April 30th. No registration required, but I will have a link for that so that you can be able to see what those locations are. And then we have Avianca, who has up to 160% bonus when purchasing Avianca Life Miles. The offer is available through December 31st, and you're getting 120% as low as 1,000 miles purchased, and then it's 140% between 2,000 and 20,000 miles, and then 150% between 21,000 and 35,000 miles, and then 36,000 miles and over will get you that 160%. It does sound like a very large number, and it is, but it still is not something where you're going to convert your flexible currency through American Express or any of those ones to do anything with. Well, I'm sorry, in this case, where you're purchasing this only if you have a particular plan for Avianca, and it's a great program that has a lot of diversity within Star Alliance, but don't feel like you must purchase Avianca miles just because you're hearing 160% bonus. And then for Emirates, they have a purchase program that is also going on with them as well. And for them, you're looking at 25% towards the purchase of their Skyward miles. Now, you do have to purchase by December 22nd, and that will go up to 25%, although you could be targeted for more or less. Mine was at 25% when I looked at it. And while that is not the best cents per mile at 2.45, once again, as we've always talked about with this, that you will determine the value. If you get a nice redemption or a needed redemption, then it's worth it to you. So don't necessarily worry about if it's 2.45 cents per mile, and it really is not the best deal for that if it works for you. And then as far as moving on from there, we don't have a whole lot of newer items that I would point out that we have. I don't want to be redundant with you all. Now, I will say that Wyndham does have up to a 45% discount purchasing Wyndham rewards. Now, you do have to purchase by December 31st. This is one of those mystery discounts that Wyndham unfortunately does at 35, 40, or 45%. I looked at mine, and surprisingly, I got 40% because I'm always at the bottom of any of these mystery discounts. So the 45% is, or the highest amount is between 3,000 and 200,000 miles, and that would be 70.71 cents per point, or which is commonly valued as 0.9. So it is a good deal for it, but once again, not something to purchase those points unless you have a specific plan on how to use those. And so then let's just jump right into the news and want to say hi to John. John, another credit card content creator, had his first live stream yesterday. So if you've watched John or just started learning about John, I'd encourage you to jump on his channel after this, of course, but to check out his live stream. I thought it was an excellent live stream and gave you a good insight to how John thinks and works, that really makes him such a good content creator. So I would definitely recommend that to everyone. And then Philmo, thanks for stopping through. Always appreciate you coming in. So let's go and get to the news. How about we talk about Frontier Airlines and how about 100,000 points for their World credit card? So what we have for this one is This Frontier Airlines World Mastercard is a $99 annual fee credit card, and you can currently get 50,000 bonus miles and a $100 flight voucher after just $500 worth of spend in the first 90 days. The card does come with Elite Gold status after your first purchase. Now, what you will not see when you look at that offer on their site is that they have another level of a special bonus promotion. If you have another co-branded US airline credit card that qualifies, you'll get another 50,000 bonus miles with $3,000 worth of spend in the first 180 days or 6 months. Now, there is a landing page to get that additional bonus, and I will put that link in there as well. And what you'll do is you'll just put a little bit of information about your other co-branded US airline credit card, and that will tell you if you qualify. It looks like really, as long as you have any of them, that it will work, but that landing page will tell you for sure. Now, you must apply for the card by January 31st of 2025, and you'll verify that you qualify for the bonus and complete the bonus application form. Now, Frontier airline miles are commonly valued at 1 to 1.1 cents per point. So you're getting a lot of value of this, anywhere from close to $1,200 worth if you take that cents per point on a $99 annual fee credit card. Now, Elite Gold status does get you a little bit bonus on this. It's the second of their 4 tiers. It'll get you a 40% bonus on points. It'll get you a complimentary carry-on bag, and you'll get Zone 1 priority boarding, to name a few of the items. So if you have an interest, if you are a person that flies Frontier Airlines, any kind of amount of time, you may want to look at this credit card because it may be able to do a lot for you on that. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And then let me get back into here. We got talked about Filmo, appreciated him coming in. Mr. Coco, appreciate you stopping in, sir. John, always appreciate, always will shout you out, John. Always like listening to, watching your content. Filmo there, and there we go. So let's move on to talking about the new Delta One Lounge in Boston. So we've talked about Delta One lounges at LAX as well as New York prior, but now we've got one that it opened up yesterday in Boston. Now you'll access this lounge through the Delta Sky Club in Concourse E. Now it's supposed to be in a speakeasy kind of way where you would have a certain passage to get into this area, although I've not been able to read of where that is actually located. So if you do end up going to it, make sure to share your information with us. Now, the lounge will be dining centered because the Delta Sky Club that's there already provides showers and business suites there. So when we talk about dining centered, what we're basically saying is we've got a 3-course meal that they say they will serve within under 1 hour. And so some of the items that they talked about is crab cake, octopus carpaccio, cod Milanese, New England pan roast, steak tartare, and their Delta One burger. Now, as far as some of the thoughts, the lounge will be open from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. Now, that may seem a little bit odd for there to be such a short period of time, but what it is it ties in with the departures out of that concourse, which does not start until the afternoon. So that is why we're seeing that 2 to 9 p.m. range. As I said, we've already talked about previously the LAX and JFK locations of the Delta One Lounge. This is the third, with additional upcoming locations coming to Salt Lake City as well as Seattle. Now, when it comes to access, it obviously is not the same as a Delta One Lounge. What it is that you're looking at, you need a Delta One business class ticket departing or arriving that day, or you're an invitation-only Delta 360 status departing or arriving that day in first class, or you're flying on a same-day departing or connecting flight operated by a select Delta partner in business or first class, if applicable. And a few of the select partners would include Air France, KLM, Korean Air, LATAM, as well as Virgin. So if you get over to that Delta One lounge, be sure to share some information with us in the comment section so that we can be able to know what's going on. And Philmo says, never flown Frontier, but 100,000 points is tempting. It is, especially when you don't have to do a whole lot for it. Um, and it actually even crossed my mind, and I really did not think I would even give it a bit of consideration. But 100,000 miles is still 100,000 miles, even if I had to use it for my son or a friend, if I wasn't too quick to do it. So I definitely know where you're coming from on that. Delta having a secret handshake lounge entry, it very well may be, but definitely speakeasy type style. So definitely everybody that would end up going, make sure to share. So now let's talk about the JetBlue domestic first class that is coming. What we're looking at with JetBlue is a focus on premium. So the JetBlue CEO announced that domestic first class will debut by 2026. Now, the first class seats are expected to be a 2x2 format for the first 2 or 3 rows on aircrafts that are not having Mint, of course. Mint will be the premier seating on those on airlines that already have them. This first class is to kind of fill that gap. A few months ago, JetBlue already had announced that it was going to have its first upcoming lounges at JFK and Boston. Now, access to the lounges will be a prime perk for loyalists, Mint passengers, as well as the upcoming premium card that we know about, just to name a few. Now, what I would say is we've seen a lot of different activity from everybody with these airlines, as far as we've seen people that are bundling, such as Southwest, unbundling, unfortunately, like my Delta, and then premium move for JetBlue, obviously with the lounges and now a first class to add on to theirs. Now they're developing a domestic first class on an aircraft without Mint is really going to fill in a gap that's going to make JetBlue even more competitive. And if you when you add into the upcoming lounges, which has been a serious problem for them, and now you have JetBlue that is going to basically be able to develop a complete experience that they've not been able to do before, even as good as we've heard about how great Mint is. And I've not had a chance to fly them yet. I've not heard anything but great things about them for the Mint class. So definitely consider that. And so now let's talk about the American Business Platinum Card and a new benefit that has now appeared for them. And that is a $200 Hilton statement credit with no increase to the annual fee. So that's always a good thing. Now, of course, in American Express process of how they do business, it's $50 per quarter, and you have to enroll. Now, as far as how to use it, it is believed that it's going to be similar to the credit that's on the Hilton Surpass and the Hilton Business Credit Card. That could be used for the following: normally eligible room rates, incidentals charged to the room, such as dining and spa services. But there's basically data points with 3 other items that I will give a comment on shortly, and that's gift store purchases at a Hilton property, dining purchases at a restaurant on a Hilton property, and Hilton online gift card purchases. So I have the business Hilton credit card, and I have seen that credit get used well with gift store purchases at a Hilton property. Now, I'm sure that can vary by property because of how they're hooked into it. But that may be a good option. I've been able to do it. The dining purchases, been able to use it at the restaurant, but it was still always being done as of doing it being charged to my room. I've not seen one where I've been able to do it without doing it that way. So that would be the thought there. Turn on some light. So apologize for that. So that would be so. Anytime we are going to get a benefit where we didn't have to pay additional annual fee, I'm always for, and I'm sure you are too. But it's just going to make the business platinum more competitive for spending that $600 and nearly $700 annual fee. And so, not something that I'll be looking at doing. I've got enough cards that I'm spending a lot of money on. But if you have a business and you're spending money, especially for the intro bonus and all, definitely look to consider it. And see, John talked about, yeah, JetBlue is definitely upping their game. I think that they see a chance to really take over. It's just going to be a matter of how far can they go. Are they going to be stuck on the East Coast and some transcontinental flights, or are they going to be able to develop enough partnerships to be able to do more with their product? And so that'll be very interesting. And John, thanks so much. Really appreciate the $2. Very kind of you. We're both trying up and coming, and I appreciate you doing that. It's greatly appreciated. And Tim says, sounds like a $50 gift card, $50 gift cards entering circulation. Yeah, I've not tried that. I read that it was a data point, so I'm going to give it a shot because I've not spent my portion for this quarter. So I'm going to try to purchase that and see if that works. And I will be sure to share that back with you all if that worked for me, at least on the Hilton business card. And once again, we're going to assume that the American Express Business Platinum is going to be a similar type of thing. So let's talk about Marriott acquisitions that have gone on. Well, really, I should say acquisition. What we're looking at with that is they have now acquired Postcard Cabins, formerly known as Getaway Outpost, and they've also established a long-term agreement with Trailborn boutique hotels. Now, we talked about Postcard locations probably about a month or so ago, where there was some rumblings of something like this going on. And Postcard Locations has 29 different locations, and their claim basically is that they're within 2 hours of a major metropolitan area. And I gave an example of where there are postcard locations, or there's a postcard location within 2 hours of the metropolitan area of where I live in Ohio. And they are basically in the state forest, where there are a lot of different cabins owned by different types from the state to a lot of third-party vendors, and they do have locate a couple of spots there that are very popular. So that is what they are bringing to the table for them. And then Trailborn is one I've not heard of, and they only have 3 hotels. One is near the Rocky Mountains in Estes Park, Colorado, near the Grand Canyon in Williams, Arizona, and then the Blue Ridge Mountains in Highlands, North Carolina. Now, 2 more are coming for the Trailborn hotels. Surf and Sound, which they're calling it, in Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina. That'll be in 2025. And then Mendocino, California, does not have a date yet, but those are options. Now, as far as the integration into the Marriott system, that will occur in 2025. Now, the move is not surprising, especially from the postcard cabin standpoint, because of the camping slash glamping that's going on. We've seen Hilton become big with auto camp, and we've seen Hyatt do under canvas. So it was not surprising to see Marriott now jump in with the postcard cabins as well as the Trailborn boutique hotels, which gives it both the rustic side for some postcard cabins with a little bit of glam on a few of their locations, and then you get this Trailborn boutique hotels to give you another look for that. So I think that they make a very good move into that, and something that I would definitely consider. And I see Philmo jumps in. Trailborn sounds like too much walking for me. I am definitely not a person that camps. My wife says she'd be willing to do glamping. I'm not even sure if I'm willing to do glamping at this point, but I think that some of these locations, especially that we've seen from Auto Camp as well as Under Canvas, for some of these locations that are at state parks or national parks, could be an interesting outing for a lot of people, and it's definitely picked up a lot of steam that we've seen over the last year. So now let's talk about the Alaska Hawaiian and some of the next steps. We've gotten a lot of information from them all the way from the beginning with how quickly they move through the regulatory stage. And so now we found out even more information that we definitely need to be able to talk about. So basically what we're seeing is that in most acquisitions that we've all seen, we see that both brands don't normally continue long term. And we saw that recently with Korean Air and Asiana, where Korean will take over everything of Asiana, from both their regular program with Asiana to also their budget brands will all get sucked up under Korean Air. Now, they are not going to do that with Alaska's not going to do that with Hawaiian, which is interesting. And it's probably, I would say probably, it's very likely because of the fact that they wanted to limit the regulation pushback with this, as well as Hawaiian airline loyalists and Hawaiians, because it was a very big deal for them of being able to maintain their brand of Hawaiian, as well as being able to do the flights on the island hopping. So we've now learned that of how they're going to look at branding, and we've looked at, they're going to see about their long haul flights out of Seattle, and we're also going to be looking at new lounges and premium credit cards. So let's start with the branding aspect. So Alaska's CEO announced that all flights to, from, and within within Hawaii will be under the Hawaiian Airlines brand. All other flights will be under Alaska. Now, there's two issues that you probably would come up with yourselves when you think of that. One is, with the flights that are going to and from Asia, what happens if you're going to land in Seattle and then go to Hawaii? You would be on an Alaska branded plane landing in Seattle. Are you going to be switching planes to a Hawaii brand one to get you to Hawaii? That is what they're basically saying, which is not ideal from a logistics standpoint. So that is interesting. And the fact is that we hear about a lot of people, a lot of airlines at the time of seasons will shift certain aircrafts, larger aircrafts or narrow bodied, depending upon the season. Well, you're not going to necessarily be able to do that when you have these branded airlines of Hawaiian. You're not going to easily be able to move it to the internet, to the side where it doesn't go to Hawaii and say it goes from Seattle to Asia or such. You're not going to be able to do that. So that is an interesting point. We'll kind of get some thoughts on at the end. The second item that we learned is that Seattle is going to become the international hub for Alaska. Now, that's not really that surprising because it is their main hub, but it's still interesting for that because their goal is to at least have 12 long haul flights by 2030. Now, Seattle is clearly already, like I mentioned, the airline's largest hub, but I did not know that they did 104 nonstop destinations out of Seattle, which is enormous. So by May 12th of 2025, they're going to have a daily nonstop to Narita airport there in Japan, and the tickets are already now on sale for that point. And then for October 2025, they're going to have daily nonstop to South Korea in Incheon, which tickets will be on sale for that in early 2025. Now, these new routes will be with Hawaiian's A330s, not the new Boeing 787-9s. And that is a big deal because the A330s that Hawaiian currently has is not really the best layout for the discerning business class flyer, while the Boeing 787-9s are a much better product, but that is not where they're going to use on that. So that could be a problem for them as far as really making a dent with those long haul flights. Now, on the Alaska's Investors Day presentation, they identified potential long-haul destinations in addition to South Korea and Japan, to Bangkok, Delhi, Ho Chi Minh City, London, Manila, Paris, and Rome. Now, as I mentioned before, the negative of this whole thing is those A330s are a 222 business configuration, which is not the ideal configuration that people want to be on. Now, the positive is that they're going to be making a dent into Delta. Delta has been working to expand into Seattle. We talked about that they're going to have a Delta One lounge in Seattle, and they really made a push to be there. But for most people that fly out of Seattle, for at least from what I've read, and seen on the message boards. Alaska is really more of still the dominant brand over there. And with a successful international launch to really make this the international hub, it could really cause Delta a lot of problems of being successful there in Seattle. Now let's talk about more lounges. There are currently 9 lounges at 6 locations: Anchorage, LAX in Los Angeles, JFK, Portland, San Francisco, and Seattle. Now the San Francisco one, I'm sorry, the Aspire Lounge that is currently at San Jose, I think it is. I should have remembered what that one was. They have an Aspire Lounge, which is in Terminal 2. Now that's going to become a Alaska Lounge. It is currently open to Priority Pass, but it needs renovation. And so that is something that they're going to end up having to do with that. Honolulu is a very complicated issue for them because currently you've got the Plumeria Lounge, which is pretty mediocre, and is open to Priority Pass. Hawaiian only has the Apartment 1929 Lounge, which charges starting at $500 per couple that enter that lounge. Now, I've not experienced that, and I haven't talked to anybody who has. So if you have experienced the Apartment 1929 Lounge, please let us know if that has any value to it. That's astonishing. I couldn't imagine paying that much money to go to a lounge on a single trip. The issue that Alaska is going to have, though, is there is really no space currently there for that Honolulu airport. I don't know if they're going to look to add on to make that happen or what they're going to try to do, but that is a significant issue that they've got to deal with, but we've not heard how that's going to work yet. And then as far as more lounges, we're going to see a flagship international lounge at Seattle, which of course ties with Seattle being the hub of their international hub that they're looking to do. Now, there are 3 lounges at Seattle currently. Now, the type of lounge is still unknown, so we don't know if it's going to be as exclusive as American Flagship, Delta One, or United Polaris. I would think that it does need to challenge those, especially if you have a Delta One coming into Seattle, that I think they're going to have to go to that kind of level when you already have 3 lounges there already. Now, the interesting thing is, where will that go and how big will it be? Now, in 2022, they announced a 20,000 square foot lounge that was going to be in the C Concourse expansion project, and it was going to accommodate Concourse C and D. The size is great. The problem is that location is not good or convenient for the long haul flyer. So that, while we'll have to see if that becomes the spot, otherwise I can't see them building yet another lounge, and the other lounges really are not ideal. So we're going to have to learn more from them on that as well. Let's see. We got Tim had some Hawaii tickets on Alaska scheduled for next summer, and they just got moved to Hawaiian. Yep, makes perfect sense. And San Diego. Thank you so much, Tim. I don't know why I was blanking out on that. So that information was regarding San Diego that I missed on why I had SAN there. So I apologize. So let's go to the Alaska Premium credit card. So this was also announced. Now, the couple things to keep in mind. There's 500 points for just joining the wait list by December 31st. I'll have a link for where you can do that to make sure you get those points. Then once they open up the applications for the wait list, then if you go ahead and apply with the link, they're going to send you a link for you to apply. And if your application is approved, you'll get an additional 5,000 miles or points on the card. Now that's beyond whatever the bonus, welcome bonus is. So you can rack up 5,500 points with this credit card off the bat. Now, we don't have a lot of information on the credit card. We do know that there's going to be what they call a Global Companion Award Certificate. When my thought hits that, considering what the Companion Pass is right now, which is for essentially economy or coach, but you can upgrade it to first class pretty easily with points on your that you have in your account. I think that this is going to be truly a global companion award certificate, but my guess is that they'll limit the amount of miles that you can go with that companion award certificate. But hopefully they'll have some provision where you can both just upgrade it to first class if you want to, but beyond that, to put it for more points to be able to extend the range of that companion award certificate. Now, that's just my thought when I hear Global Companion Award, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that. There'll also be waived award ticket fees. You'll get Alaska lounge passes. There'll be an accelerated path to elite status, which is not surprising for a premium credit card with Alaska, something to move you into those MVP levels. You'll get Wi-Fi vouchers, innovate what they call innovative travel disruption program. Not a clue what that's going to represent. Definitely have to see what that is. And then 3x on foreign purchases and dining options. As far as some final thoughts, Alaska is moving at a light speed situation right now. I've never seen anything of a merger of this size move this fast, get implemented, and then actually we see on the ground changes. Now, it's clear that Alaska has assessed the necessary costs to keep Hawaiians, Hawaiian loyalists, and regulatory officials happy, because they're going to be spending a lot more in expenses for these things that they've done. But what they're going to seek to do by doing all this is they're going to seek to recoup this with quick movement on this expansion, and that is what we're really seeing right now. So I think that the interesting thing is that these miles are going to continue to be very useful. I think the value, though, one of the things that make American Airlines and Alaska Airline miles so valuable for so long was because of how hard they were to get those miles. Now it is so much easier to get Alaska miles, especially with the Hawaiian being a one-to-one conversion. And so I wonder if the value of the points will go down, or are we going to see some devaluation for it as we move along? I think that it would be realistic to expect some devaluation as they continue to move through this. But Alaska miles are so versatile for so many different type of travel that it's still probably going to be very worth it, and it's definitely something I will look to accumulate. And I'll be interested to see what you all are thinking about that as well. But curious if there's any other thoughts or questions or that kind of crossing you all's mind in regards to this. I appreciate you bearing with me here at the Arizona outpost of me doing this. And I would definitely say I'm going to have a video up on Saturday. It is going to be my 2025 travel strategy or strategy to be able to travel, but more importantly, a 5-step process that I think that whether you're brand new to this or hopefully even for seasoned vets will be very beneficial with me showing real world planning that I'm doing for 2025 as well as 2026. So hopefully you'll be able to look at that. We have multiple studios. Yep. And we'll be doing we're going to try to do this Arizona location next Thursday. And then we will move to the international location of Australia for 2 weeks, for 2 more Thursdays, and do it from there. I'm going to try my best to try to do it with notes rather than this PowerPoint, and see if we can just get out and be out on the harbor near the Park Hyatt Hotel there in Sydney for at least a little bit of different scenery for it. Have to figure out the time though, because it's a 15-hour difference from what I'm used to. But we will get something put together to try to share my little bit of experience with you all for that, as well as some different shorts that I'll do while I'm out there. But I really appreciate everyone's support of me and this channel. It's been really humbling to me completely, and I thank you all so much for that. Yeah, I appreciate that, Filmo, and the reality is, and I'll talk about it as we get closer. And I think I've mentioned it before. It really just kind of came together, and especially at a time where Australia is so high when it comes to Christmas and New Year's. But to be able to pull that Australia trip off with nothing really elevated in points and miles, but the value that I got out of it was just outstanding, and I know that other people can be able to do it as well. Lucky on some of the timing, but definitely not anything crazy when it comes to those things that I was able to do with it. So I'll definitely be looking to share that as well. Uh, yeah, the Australia trip, I do look forward to it, but I am also a person that has never flown more than 4 hours. Flying from Ohio to Las Vegas is the longest flight I've had, at least in one sitting. This is a nonstop flight of 15 hours. And so I don't know what I will do with myself for that. But definitely a bucket list item to be able to take for my wife. 31 years, 31? Yeah, I think 31 years that we've been married. So she's had to deal with a lot of mess with me. So so being able to do this is really exciting. So thank you all for jumping in on this live stream. I'm going to make sure to get this chaptered and get it up for everybody that wanted to be able to see it a little bit differently. And I look forward to seeing you this upcoming Thursday for another live stream, as well as I will be having that new video out. So I will be looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you so much, and we'll talk with you all soon.